It takes approximately 90 days for one drop of water to travel the entire length of the Mississippi River. While hibernating, bears do not urinate. Their bodies turn waste into protein. The first Daytona 500 was held in 1959. Taylor Swift has dated more men than the Beatles have released studio albums. President Andrew Jackson's inauguration party was rowdy. It was so rowdy that people were breaking dishes, staining the carpets, and attempting to get at the newly elected president. Jackson managed to sneak out of the White House where the party was held and spent the night at a nearby hotel. White House servants then lured partygoers outside with washtubs full of juice and whiskey. If you paint your bathroom walls powder blue or periwinkle, the value of your home will go up $5,000 on average. The Flintstones was the most popular network cartoon for 30 years before being unseated by The Simpsons. When the sun has burned all its hydrogen, it will continue to burn helium for 130 million more years. During this time, it will expand to the point that it will engulf Mercury, Venus, and the Earth. At this stage, it will have become a red giant. As of this recording, the YouTube series Skibidi Toilet has garnered over 18 billion views. I could not possibly be more ashamed of this generation. There are more possible orders to a deck of cards than there are known atoms in the universe. The most popular sport in Guadalupe is windsurfing. The U.S. state of New York officially classifies hot dogs as sandwiches. Once again, our government has failed us. A wolf howl can be heard from up to 6 miles away. Large wind turbines can each power up to 600 homes. During World War II, British soldiers received a ration of 3 sheets of toilet paper a day. American soldiers got 22. The first modern center line for roads was painted in 1917. White was chosen by its designer Edward Hines, who was inspired after seeing milk spill from a delivery wagon on a newly paved road. The American quarter horse is the world's most popular breed. The fastest a fart can travel is about 10 feet per second. On average, a 70-year-old human will have consumed over 12,000 gallons of water. The first homecoming dance was held in 1895 at the University of Missouri. English is the only major world language that contains the sound the, as in father or mother. Back in the early 1900s, the HMS Olympic struck another ship. The HMHS Britannic hit a mine at sea, and the Titanic, as we all know, hit an iceberg and sunk. A stewardess and nurse by the name of Violet Jessup was aboard all 3 of these ships on those fateful journeys and survived all 3 encounters. This earned her the nickname Miss Unsinkable. Walt Disney World does 285,000 pounds of laundry every day. The first season of SpongeBob SquarePants was the only one whose animation was not digital. Over 25 million tons of materials are extracted from old vehicles for recycling every year. In 2013, a man by the name of Brad Lee Davis was involved in a physical confrontation with his stepfather. He was so mad that he grabbed his stepfather's underwear, pulled it over his head, and caused the elastic waistband to wrap tightly around his neck. This constriction blocked his airway, and he died right then and there. News outlets called it a wedgie murder. About 1 in 8 American adults are alcoholics. The most popular song in the year 1988 was George Michael's Faith. In 2006, a North Carolina man buried his Harley-Davidson motorcycle on his property. He claimed it was stolen. He was paid for the bike, and his loan was paid off too. 6 years later, a new property owner discovered it while doing yard work. The first Google Doodle was a Burning Man stick figure that came out on August 30th, 1998. Apples come in over 7,500 different varieties. The oldest "your mom" joke was discovered in a Babylonian tablet in Iraq in 1976. 7% of American adults believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. Polar bears can eat as many as 10 penguins in one sitting. Parking in San Francisco is so scarce that the parking spot attached to your property can add up to $100,000 to the property's value. If the Yellowstone supervolcano erupted today, 90,000 people would die and a layer of molten ash 10 feet thick would spread over a diameter of 1,000 miles. The longest game of Monopoly ever lasted 70 days. The children's author Dr. Seuss is credited with inventing the word nerd when it first appeared in his book If I Ran the Zoo in 1950. Turkeys have existed for tens of millions of years, even predating now extinct animals such as the woolly mammoth. Iceland has been the safest country in the world for 14 years straight, meaning it's seen the least amount of crime, while Venezuela, on the other hand, is the most dangerous. In 1996, a man died in a motorcycle accident. His body was donated to a college. Later, the man's nephew, a musician by the stage name Prince Midnight, was instructed to find a burial plot and buy a coffin for him. He refused and instead extracted his skeleton and transformed it into a fully functional guitar. Mimes, those creepy French street performers, have been around for over 60,000 years, but the art of miming as we know it today didn't come about until around 3,000 years ago in ancient Greece. The last time a non-independent third-party candidate won any electoral votes in a U.S. presidential election was 1948. Strom Thurmond won 39 electoral votes as a member of the newly formed and short-lived States' Rights Democratic Party, also known as the Dixiecrat Party. This party was formed as a branch of the Democratic Party who wanted to protect the states' rights to keep racial segregation in the South. The party was dissolved in the same year as the election. In case you were wondering and don't remember from history class, Harry Truman won that presidential election. In 1960, the Food and Drug Administration briefly banned sassafras, the flavorful ingredient in root beer, due to an oil in it that contains carcinogens. However, once a method of extracting the oil from the sassafras was unveiled, the production of root beer was allowed to continue. The top 3 most popular dog breeds in the United Kingdom are the Labrador Retriever, the Cockapoo, and the French Bulldog. Only about 40% of American adults are able to solve the following equation correctly. If a liter of water costs $3.15, how much does a third of a liter cost? Feel free to pause the video if you need more time to think. The answer is $1.05. The Volkswagen Beetle uses a 4-cylinder boxer engine. The 4th and 5th most popular fonts for books are Minion Pro and Castellan. The most popular is Times New Roman. The can opener took 48 years to be invented after the invention of tin cans. In that time period, people stabbed holes in the cans and used hammers and chisels to get them open. The modern handheld can opener with the rotating wheels didn't come about until about 12 years after the first rendition. The average woman's hair length in Ethiopia is 14 inches. Speaking of women, the most told lie in the world is, "I'm fine." The chemical reaction that takes place when you crack glow sticks is called chemiluminescence. The African country Chad uses Central African francs as its currency. 100 CAF is equivalent to approximately 16 cents in US dollars. When you combine a question mark and an exclamation mark at the end of a sentence, you've just created what's known as an interrobang. Cesium has an atomic number of 55. Christmas trees are America's 8th favorite smell. This is fact number 57, and I am writing this fact at 8:36 p.m. on a Tuesday. This may make you feel old, but the most viewed video on YouTube is no longer the Despacito music video. That title now belongs to Baby Shark Dance. The yebahar is a musical instrument invented relatively recently by Turkish musician Görkem Sen. This is what it sounds like. The word funky originally meant old and musty, in reference to cheese. Harold Gillies was a plastic surgeon that performed over 11,000 operations for over 5,000 soldiers whose faces had been disfigured during World War I. It is estimated that the number of people that have ever lived is around 108 billion. In the state of Wyoming, it is illegal to tie a cow to a telephone pole. On average, women own 19 pairs of shoes. Only 14 live-action episodes of Mr. Bean were ever produced. After that, it was all animation. France has 42,986 roundabouts. This is what the Tanzanian flag looks like. The Allen wrench is named after William G. Allen, whose first patented invention was the Allen key in 1913. Candyland, the popular board game, was inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame in 2005. There is a technical name for the fear of long words. Ironically, it is a very long word. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it. You are twice as likely to be killed by a vending machine than by a shark. Beyoncé takes care of over 80,000 bees and makes hundreds of jars of honey per year. Queen Elizabeth once attended a civilian wedding in Manchester in 2012. The winner of the 2019 Pumpkin Chucking World Championship was Team Chunk Norris. The United States national flower is the rose. As of this recording, Gibsonton, Florida has a population of 18,486. The space between your eyebrows is known as the glabella. You can use spaghetti noodles as a lighter. The fifth word of the fifth sentence of the fifth page of the fifth chapter of the fifth Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, is having. The most expensive restaurant in the state of Texas is Killen's Steakhouse in Pearland. The most expensive thing on the menu is $225. A piece of toast costs $29. Dolly Parton lost a Dolly Parton look-alike contest. The Arctic Circle is home to a surprising 4 million residents. When the city of Chicago was founded, it had a population of 305. In airports, magazines most commonly sell on Fridays and Saturdays. The word paper is derived from the papyrus plant, whose materials are what ancient civilizations used to write on before the invention of paper. 19% of wedding proposals take place in December. This entire paragraph is the same spelled backwards. I'll give you a second to look at it. June 5th is National Ketchup Day. This was the first ever underwater photo. It was taken by marine life expert William Thompson in 1856. 25 is funnier than 24. If you do not get this reference, you did not have a childhood. From 1995 to the year 2000, 186,151 people moved from California to Arkansas. 22% of twins are left-handed. Since 1988, every team in the NFL has played in a conference championship game, with the lone exception of the Houston Texans. The first stop sign in North America was installed in Detroit, Michigan in 1915. "This ain't dinner, it's paint thinner" is a line from rapper Eminem's song, My Mom. 7.2% of the German population is diabetic. If you were 600 to 1,000 meters away from a nuclear blast, there's a small chance you'd survive, but you would wish that you didn't. You would be launched backwards by the shockwave, suffering severe burns from the fire and possibly breaking a few bones and suffering damage to your respiratory, circulatory, and other bodily systems. You would feel the wrath of the radiation pretty quickly. If you were unlucky enough to be in the immediate fireball produced by a nuclear warhead, your body would instantly be incinerated and become 100% ash in less than half a second, providing for a quick and painless, yet horrifying death. President Gerald Ford commonly blamed his farts on Secret Service agents. Nanotribology is the study of friction on the molecular and atomic scale. And finally, fact number 100. The world record for most people lifted and thrown in 2 minutes by a woman is 12. The record was set by Anita Florzik of Spain.